Hey guys, and welcome back. As you know, I've been spending a lot of hours out in the greenhouse this week, and that's meant I haven't been spending as much time down here in the fish room. I come down here each morning and do my water changes, then I spend the bulk of my time working out in the greenhouse and sorting fry. But yesterday, I came downstairs at night to put away those shrimp that I collected, and I saw something disturbing. Let's take a look. So I came over here to look at the Hillstream tank and check on my bin, and first noticed this little puddle here, which is probably just for me making a mess. Then I came over to examine the big boys and I saw this. And I was like, huh, that's weird. I don't remember spilling any water. And I walked over here and I saw all this and I went, oh shit. That means my tank is leaking, and of all the tanks in the fish room to start leaking, this is not the one I want to leak because, I mean, I don't have anything even close to big enough to move these guys to. The next biggest tank is my Hillstream aquarium, and these guys would just wreck those fish. So we need to take a closer look and figure out what the heck is going on. Now I can tell by the water level it's a slow leak and by the amount of water on the floor. So I'm not anticipating anything that is completely disastrous. But this is a very old aquarium. I got it used and I've had it in service for a decade. So really anything could happen here. I've also been having troubles with the filter on this tank. One of the filters is an FX6 and it sucks air constantly. So I'm kind of hopeful what's going on is that there's a breach in one of the hoses. The tank is plumbed and it has these bulkheads all throughout the base of the aquarium. Two of which are right where this endley is, two of the discharges, where it blows the water back into the aquarium after passing through the really large canister filter. Since that is where the puddle is, I'm hoping that one of my bulkheads is just leaking. But without further ado, let's take a look. Now, as we suspected, there's water in here. And one thing that I like to mention, if you're using canisters within a stand like this, always mount your electrical box or your power strip or whatever up off the floor so that you have a drip loop so that the water doesn't go into your electrical outlet. Now this has the ground on it anyway, so it would trip if it got wet, but you know, safety first. But as you can see, the underside of this aquarium has a ton of different fixtures, and they go all across the aquarium. Some, like this one, aren't in use, they're isolated. But these two over here are my returns, and if we look here, we have found the source of the problem, well, at least where the water is leaving. I'm thinking that this particular fixture right here is going to be our culprit. In order to get the hosing to fit onto this barbed fitting, we had to use a heat gun, and it's, as I said, it's been a decade now. If you look, it looks like it's just slowly weeping out there, so we're probably going to have to change out this piece of hose. So, not the end of the world. I don't think we're going to have catastrophic failure. However, I'm going to see if my husband can help me with this because I don't want water pouring all over the floor, and I'm not the fastest at plumbing. The fish are very excited by the nighttime activity down here. I think the fish think they're going to get fed because Chris is down here. It's been a while since he visited the fish, since he's back to work now. I think they miss you, Chris.
No, just food. Just too much food. Just ample food for them to feel satisfied rather than a stingy portion from a mean orphanage mother.
So way back when we plumbed this tank, which was, as I mentioned, I think a couple times now, about 10 years ago, we had to make our own bulkhead fittings because we quite honestly couldn't afford to buy them. They were like 30-some bucks a piece. And we've learned a lot since we put in this aquarium. This was my first big tank. My next biggest tank before this was a 120 gallon, which was only a 4-foot tank. They're not very big. We made these hoses way too long. Now at some point we're gonna come down here and redo all of this. But you know, it's sort of that out of sight, out of mind thing. But at this point, the hosing's starting to get really brittle, so we only want to mess with what we absolutely have to today, just to avert disaster. I had this daydream today that after I saw this, that I came down here and the tank was almost empty and I had nowhere to move the fish and my babies were struggling, and we just want to avoid that. So for now, we're going to cut out this piece of hose and replace it, and then revisit this at a later date to redo it better. So we've closed these valves that are the returns from the filter, and have a conveniently placed bucket to hopefully prevent more water on the floor. I haven't mentioned to you guys, but both of my dehumidifiers died, and I have replacements coming in this week, but it's already a bit balmy and humid down here. I don't really want to make it worse if I can help it. So Chris is going to cut that piece of tubing. Oh, you know what? Did you shut off the... Oh, I guess it'll be fine. Because you can shut that, and then that way it won't continue to... Yeah.
Great.
Now we shut the valve to the filter too. That way hopefully less water will come pouring out.
My wimpy arms.
Watch your fingers.
I haven't lost one of those yet.
You could use the PVC cutter.
I could, but it's not as fun.
So these are just barbed fittings, and then Chris used a heat gun to heat up the hosing, and then a little bit of lube in order to slip the hose over that barb fitting. So first he's got to cut off the old piece. You can see that this is what was leaking here, and I think it's from the heat gun getting a little too close the last time, and just over the years it's gotten brittle and finally cracked. So he's going to heat it up to try and make it easier to get off.
How long?
So because nothing ever happens when you want it to, and let's be real folks, there's no good time for a tank or plumbing to spring a leak. We're being totally ghetto, and I don't have any new hose that is the right size. So this is from my homemade siphon, and it's actually sadly my absolute favorite siphon. We're cutting a little length from that to fix this aquarium for now, but as I said, at some point we'll get back down here and redo it for real and do a better job. I've actually considered putting a sump under this aquarium to help with some of the dilution, but I'd have to get a lot of lids for aquariums first before I added more volume down here. Hooray! Are the grunts for effect?
No, because my wrist is nipping and my shoulder is cracked.
You're doing way better than you were a few weeks ago. So while it's not beautiful, nor is it glamorous, the crisis has been averted and there's no more leaks. So yeah, good to go.
That is as least kinky as it gets.
Okay.
What? Messing with a fish tank is as least kinky as it gets.
Oh, I heard you.
Get it? Fish tanks are not sexy. That's the joke.
Depends on who you talk to. I think fish tanks are quite sexy. Chris, say hello to your adoring fans. Sure.
Both heads breaking off. Screaming. fish flapping, crying,